boy has the right to dream. There are endless possibilities stretched out before him.
Trust in your own power.
Whatever happens from now on, you stand firm and face your destiny without fear, but with courage. What awaits him down the path, he will then have to choose.
No one's gonna give you a map.
What's up, my Archfits of Chaos, or Kid Rose Chaos Gaming, Gamer, and I wanted to talk about the anti-religious criticism allegory stuff, and why I think Final Fantasy X is the best at telling this story. Since we've gotten a whole lot of stuff, and I've finished the Devil May Cry, Netflix series, it's a perfect time to actually talk about the story beats and stuff like that. I will say I enjoyed it for a new take of it and stuff like that, but I will be honest, the way that it was handled was mostly out of touch. So it was just kind of weird for that to be the way it was and portrayed, because it felt like it was just more, like I said, and pretty much a huge indoctrination film, bringing up the politics of the past of the war on terror, instead of addressing stuff and then just like Castlevania, making Christians seem like they're evil and they're bad guys. Final Fantasy X has done it better because it attacks the fundamentalism. It goes into the whole story of how that it could be if everyone was extremely fundamentalist, state. If church and state was not separate. And how bad fundamentalism's got people to believe things so much they're willing to do anything for it. Or if anyone who's changed or altered or did anything outside of the legal repercussions of the set religious state, since everybody in Final Fantasy X is under Yevon's fundamentalism beliefs, where they have to have a summer has to sacrifice one of their guardians. One of the guardians is the one who beats Sin, and it comes back as Sin, so to destroy and wreck more people's lives in order for people to keep this faith going on, when really this could have been stopped. But this was pushed. It's the ideology that was pushed by Yevon that's caused all the suffering in Final Fantasy X. Even the wars against the Al-Bhed and anybody else. It's the cause of everything that we see now in Final Fantasy X, and even possibly even in X-2. It didn't just go out ignorantly saying that people who believed in Yevon was bad or good. In fact, that we've seen some decent people besides the people in our party that were Yevonites, that were pretty decent people that was just trying to live and make a living. Just didn't know that the undertone darkness of a extreme religious state that we know. And then it's only that, but they go on to, allow specific high priest figures like Seymour to hypocritically defend something that's clearly against their teachings, such as the fact that Machina was used in Operation Meehan, and then Seymour goes around saying, pretend you didn't see it. Rules for thee, rules for thee, no rules for me, or something. It's something like that. It's something on the very lines of that. I can't talk very much. My brain's kind of scrambled, but I'm still trying to explain why Final Fantasy X, tackles religion a lot better than Adi Shankar's Devil May Cry series, because it's not out there saying because you have a religious belief that you are inherently evil. Now, I'm not saying it isn't a thing that's unheard of, because for sure there are evil people that use religion to get what they want from people. It has happened in our history books. It's happened, but it's not the tackle of the religion itself. Religion itself is not bad. In fact, religion is a good thing to. Religion is a good thing to have when put in the proper perspective. You know, when it's properly exercised, then it's actually could be a good thing and a force of good. But just like every good intention thing, when they say the road of hell is paved with good intentions, that is a literal meaning, because to use something of light to defend everything that you do just because you're a high figure or the highest power of that religious group, it's the same thing with political groups too. You know, and even in modern, not just only modern times, but even in the history, we've allowed public figures to get away with stuff and defended if it was holy or good. So it's not that this didn't go out of the way to say, well, if you believe in Yevon and you're a Yevonite, you were a bad guy. It's just saying how sad everybody was forced to believe the same thing because the law tells you to. But it's okay for someone like Seymour, who's of a high authority, to just do something that is, hugely against the beliefs and teachings of Yevon, just because of his position and power within the religion. So it's saying that, the thing is to preach something, but to act different. But it's also the fact that the politics that's added with set religious dogmas and ideology that makes it bad, that taints it. Just like anything else that man has done. When man inherited the earth, we destroyed it we destroyed it in the name of progress, because we wanted more, we got greedier, we took more resources than we should have. It's the same thing. When religion first started, there was no reason for people to argue or fight or kill each other off. It just got worse over time, and that's what Final Fantasy X has put out there. Now it's gone to a point where everyone believes the same thing, to a point where you can't question any of the say anything to anyone who is a high representative or higher up. But if a regular person, let's say, were to be caught with the weapon machina, that came from an out bed, they'd probably get arrested and jailed and put to prison. So it was really attacking the fundamentalism. It wasn't saying, you believe this, you are bad because you believe this. You're inherently evil because you believe this. And that's where I will say that the Devil May Cry Netflix anime has fell short. Because the one bad character, which is the vice president, his whole identity is he's a Christian. And he could do whatever he wants because of that. Because of his narcissistic idealism. And that's the problem. It's narcissism that's tainted religious beliefs. And in Final Fantasy X, saying it's not because of the belief system or the belief, but even the belief system got changed over time, of course, by Yu Yevon himself, the very first of the summoners, the very first to kickstart all this, and his effect is what caused the problems we have in that game. I would even say even Final Fantasy X-2 with the Crusaders and Youth League and everybody else was indirectly caused by Yu Yevon, because the change in belief system, because of that stuff. And then when Seymour was exposed for what he is, instead they decided to jail Yuna and her guardians because of the fact that you went after someone who's a prominent figure of the faith. And that's the problem. A religious teaching should pass judgment on anybody who violates any scripture of what they believe in. No matter how powerful they are, no matter how much money they have, no matter how prominent they are in the role of the church, synagogue, temple, whatever you believe in, that no one is above the law. And that's what Final Fantasy X has shown. In fact, the final boss is Yu Yevon himself. So we put boot to the entirety of the Yevonite religion as a whole. In fact, it never gets brought up in part 2, only little bits and pieces to explain what happened. So Final Fantasy X has a great story when it comes to anti-religious criticisms, because it doesn't attack people for believing in something. It attacks the people who abuse that religious beliefs and with forced fundamentalisms down other people's throat to the point where it throws everyone into confusion. And it's fundamentalism and idealism that taints it. Just like political beliefs and everything else, it's idealism and fundamentalism that is actually the evil behind most religions. And that's my video. May the crystal be with you.